What is up, YouTube? I like movies, and welcome back to another episode of Curtis Review. We're going to be talking about Kyle Edward Ball's Skinamarink. First, I want to talk about dreams. When I was a kid, like a toddler, maybe around like 2 or 3 years old, I had this dream that has stuck with me since then. I was in my crib, dark room. There was a window open to the side, wind billowing through the window. From down the hallway, which was sort of, lit with like some yellow light, there's this sort of lumbering, haggard, hairy monster just thumping down the hallway towards me. I've never really been able to shake the dream. In fact, it shows up in fragments now as a 30-year-old. Kind of one of those things where I can't tell if it was like this fever dream memory, or maybe there was a monster that I saw as a kid. This is the essence of Skinamarink. This film hits the ground running, and from the very beginning, there's going to be people who are absolutely in and absolutely out. In the film, 4-year-old Kevin takes a tumble down the stairs. He ends up not getting injured too badly. His father mentions off camera that he didn't have to get stitches. Something definitely starts happening to him and his sister Kaylee and their house. They both realize that their dad has disappeared and is nowhere to be found, along with doors and windows, even the toilet. Everything in the house is shifting and changing in these eerie and chaotic ways. The camera angles are angular, specific, and often from childlike viewpoints. There are lingering shots of doorways, closets, hallways, flickering nightlights. This director suffers no fools, and he expects you to really kind of hone in on what he's trying to convey here. The cameras are overexposed and underexposed. Fuzzy quality in the complete black that is consuming the screen. Jamie McRae, who's the cinematographer on this, really shows some chops, and given how minimal the film feels, it's astounding how powerful its imagery can be when it really locks in. McRae's keen eye and positioning of the camera really aid in creating this sort of palace for Kyle Edward Ball to kind of fuck with us and watch us writhe. Eldritch horror taps into things that are often hiding in plain sight, back in the shadows, looming and waiting to strike. It comes from the author H.P. Lovecraft, famous for his horror stories from the early 1900s that remain ingrained in pop culture to this very day. The evil that can build in a household, the tensions of the parents, the confusion of overhearing those parents' conversations, billions of stimuli that children are subjected to create this darkness and heaviness. These aspects of the film make the jump scares in the movie particularly effective, because you'll just be focusing and focusing on the screen, waiting for something to happen. And sometimes it's what isn't shown to you that makes this movie so scary. Shots linger long enough for you to start to notice and go, oh, and see that the chairs are now on the ceiling and all the furniture is moved up. Toys have gotten stuck to the wall. And then there's the excellent ending shot of the movie where, from Kevin's perspective, as he is being told to go to sleep, bass just kind of like floats in from the ether. It's this ghostly presence. I loved it. I was like, what a statement to leave your audience with. The movie feels bold, very 90s, and it was a unique experience to have in the theater. It was mostly silent during the screening, and I gotta say, when I left, myself and probably everybody else in there were left with a lot of questions like, what was up with the 572 days have passed? Old cartoons playing? What exactly caused the house to shift and change? Was this all a dream? Kevin or Kaylee in a coma, and this was what they were experiencing during that? Were they just in this mad haunted house? Did their parents summon some kind of demon? The cartoons featured in the movie are Max Fleischer's Somewhere in Dreamland, along with Dave Fleischer's The Cobweb Hotel and Bimbo's Initiation. Going along with that DIY minimalist approach, the cartoons are royalty-free and public domain, so Kyle was able to use and manipulate them go along with the story he was telling about Kyle and Kaylee. Somewhere in Dreamland is basically the story of Kevin and Kaylee. It's about these two cartoon characters who are down on their luck and poor, and then some good Samaritans come along and sort of shower them with gold and kindness. It's kind of the polar opposite with Kevin and Kaylee, because rather than being showered with that kindness and warmth, they're being subjected to these terrors and tortures. In fact, the boy in the cartoon pokes himself or pinches himself to see if this is real real. This is what happens when you wake up from a dream, whether it's a bad one or a good one. You often start to wonder, oh my God, I hope this is real, or oh my God, that was fucked up.
In this house.
My immediate go-tos to reference here, both visually and story-wise, are House of Leaves by Mark Z. Danielewski and Eraserhead, directed by David Lynch. He is all over this thing. The way that Kyle Edward Ball manipulates sound, light, the camera angles, it feels very experimental. Eraserhead was very innovative and exciting at the time that it came out among art house people, and even once it sort of got into the mainstream and kind of pushed David Lynch more into the limelight. They're also both not easily digestible, and they're not going to be incredibly popular amongst a wide audience. So does the movie work? Well, kinda, if you let it. It's all about tapping into that creepy crawly feeling from childhood, running up from the basement after your parents asked you to go pick up a 12-pack of Coke down there or a fresh batch of kitty litter, and you feel that darkness nipping at your toes. Whether it's there or not isn't important. You're terrified and you want to get the fuck out of that basement. You can feel that tremor into your adulthood from time to time. I mean, I wonder sometimes if dreams prepare us in some way for the terrors of the world. While this definitely is going to remind people of Blair Witch Project and Paranormal Activity, good. Those movies were good. They work. The VHS quality of this, it's just reminiscent of home movies gone awry. Hear the way the sound is edited and manipulated. And that brings me to my next point. In what really makes the movie shine, which is the sound design. Now, most of it seems to have been done in post, checker in where they want dialogue, and often throughout the movie you sort of hear voices coming from different sides of the room, and they're really messing with the panning and the mixing, as well as the filters and stuff they've got on their microphones. Legos crinkling, the blankets moving. It's so important to how the scariness of this movie kind of crawls and creeps over you as you watch it, and it cinches that knot of horror. I mean, when you hear that, things that are scariest are things that you cannot even perceive of, because once you do, you'll go insane. I debated going over all the fan theories about what really was happening. If I can leave you with anything with this video, decide that for yourself. And if you've come here after you've seen the movie, your interpretation is just as right as mine and everyone else out there. Just make sure to bring a bucket in case you have to go to the toilet. And with that, we've finished up my review of Skinamarink, directed by Kyle Edward Ball with cinematography by Jamie McRae. Please consider liking and subscribing. Until next time, peace out.